There's a language you hear every single day, but you might not even notice it. It's the language of persuasion. We're talking political speeches, company-wide emails, even what you scroll through on social media. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how it all works. We've all heard this a million times, right? But it's so much more than just a cliché. It is literally the key to understanding one of the most powerful forces in how we all communicate. We're about to decode the techniques behind language that truly persuades, and you'll start to see just how much it shapes the world around you. Sound familiar? Yeah, this is the kind of line you hear from politicians all the time. It feels powerful, it feels like they care, it feels decisive. But what is it actually saying? What are the specifics? Just hang on to that thought. Okay, let's switch gears a little. This one comes from the well-known conspiracy theorist David Icke. Now notice the big difference here. The emphasis isn't on facts or evidence, it's on a feeling, a gut instinct that something's off. It's a pure emotional appeal. And finally, one you've probably seen in your inbox, the language of the workplace. It sounds so positive, so forward-thinking, but it's also incredibly vague. So what on earth do a politician, a conspiracy theorist, and a corporate memo all have in common? Well, they're all playing by the same ancient rulebook. All of them rely on the art of rhetoric. And you can think of rhetoric as the secret code behind persuasive language. It's this whole set of tools used to make a message hit harder and be way more influential, often without us even realizing what's happening. Let's break that down because it's important. Rhetoric isn't really about the dictionary definition of words. It's about how those words are packaged and delivered to get a specific reaction out of you, to influence how you think, and maybe even more importantly, how you feel. And here's the really wild part. This isn't some new dark art that was invented for the internet age. Nope. The fundamental playbook for understanding all of this was written over 2,000 years ago by thinkers in ancient Greece and Rome. The technology has changed, but the human psychology, not so much. In fact, the philosopher Aristotle basically boiled it all down into 3 core pillars. You've got ethos, which is all about the speaker and why you should trust them. Then there's pathos, which is a direct appeal to the audience's emotions. And finally, logos, which is about making an argument sound logical. This is our toolkit. This is how we decode everything. Okay, to see how these tools work out in the real world, let's go back to that dated Icke example from earlier. We're going to take it apart, piece by piece, and see how it's built. Okay, so look at the huge gap here between what's being said and what's actually being meant. On the left, you get this really compelling, almost mysterious story about people waking up and silenced voices. But on the right, that's the plain language translation. It's just a bunch of suggestions made without a single piece of evidence you can actually check. So how does this work so well? Well, first, it uses pathos. It gets you feeling suspicious and curious before any facts are even on the table. Then, it does something really clever with ethos. It doesn't build up the speaker's credibility, it builds up yours, making you feel like a smart, independent thinker who's in on a secret. And finally, it uses this twisted form of logos, a kind of self-sealing logic where, hey, if you can't find any evidence, that just proves how deep the cover-up goes. It's a perfect loop. And that's the bottom line here. This kind of rhetoric isn't designed to prove a point with facts. It's designed to completely bypass the need for facts by creating this incredibly powerful feeling of certainty. It makes you feel like you've discovered the truth, so you stop asking for proof. Now, it's pretty easy to spot these techniques in the more extreme examples. But the truth is, this stuff is used everywhere, all the time, in much quieter, more subtle ways. So let's look at how this rhetoric pops up in the language you and I hear every single day. Let's start with ethos, establishing authority. Ever hear these? Let me be clear, as someone who's been doing this for years, they all do the same thing. They set up the speaker as an expert before they've even made their point. It's like a preemptive strike to make you trust whatever comes next. And what about pathos, those emotional appeals? Oh yeah, phrases like, think about the children, or this affects real lives. These are absolute classics. They're designed to get your heart nodding in agreement long before your brain has a chance to kick in and ask, wait a minute. And then there's the illusion of logos. The facts are clear. Common sense tells us. These phrases are like signposts for logic. They tell you that a well-reasoned point is coming your way. But a lot of the time, they're actually used as a substitute for the logic itself. It's a way to sound reasonable without actually having to do the work. And finally, check out how language can be used to just control the conversation. When you hear, there is no alternative, or the debate is over, the goal isn't to win the argument. The goal is to end it before it can even start. It's a rhetorical shutdown, a full stop. So, once you learn to recognize these building blocks, ethos, pathos, logos, and all the little phrases that signal them, you basically gain a new superpower. You start to see the hidden machinery behind all the messages that are constantly flying at you. Hey, remember this quote? Let's take it back. Because it's not about seeing some hidden conspiracy. It's about seeing the hidden techniques of persuasion. Once you learn this code, you will start to hear it everywhere. And that knowledge, well, that's a really powerful tool to have. So, I'll leave you with a question. The next time you're watching the news or in your next team meeting at work or maybe even just talking with family tonight, listen. Listen closely. Now that you know the code, where are you going to hear it next?